Hey there, we're Shannon and Jerry Arner, your hosts of the Arner Adventures podcast.
We're a minimalist couple driven by intentional living and adventure.
Burned out from the 24/7 grind of running our business, we traded the hustle and the bustle for something more meaningful.
We parted ways with most of our belongings and moved to the coast.
Listen along as we chat about life's challenges, share inspiring stories of those who have taken big leaps to live a life outside of the norm,
and help you live with more intention and less physical and mental clutter.
Each episode is a step toward doing and being just a little bit better for ourselves and the world around us.
Life's an adventure after all. Join us for the ride.
It's the Arner Adventures podcast.
Hello everyone, I'm Shannon.
And I'm Jerry.
And we are back for episode 174 of the Arner Adventures podcast. Jerry's back, y'all.
Yay, here I am.
Jerry was on his own adventure last week, I believe.
I was. And it popped into my head that episode 174 was coming up, and I did a beeline for home.
Yeah, well, you know, it's I'd say it's a new season. I'm trying to find a segue here, but we're in the middle of a good season, I'd say.
I think we are. Yeah. Well, spring's always a good season anyway.
That's true.
And we've got some good momentum lately, and things leaning in our direction.
That's true.
And I'd say we have a few reasons to feel good about some things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So today's topic is living like every season is temporary. Why?
Because they are.
That's right. Every season is temporary.
That's right.
So we wanted to kind of go into what that means. What does it mean for us? How do we navigate both types of seasons? But first, we just want to thank any new listeners or current listeners, or if you're an old listener and you came back, not older in age, although we appreciate you too.
Yeah.
We appreciate
Actually, we need to bump up our 75 and over demographic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But we do appreciate anyone and everyone who listens, and we appreciate DMs and any time that you think this content is really helpful. It really gives us the momentum to keep going and to be the only thing we've been this consistent with in our entire lives.
That's right. Have you done 174 of anythings before?
No. I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
No.
No, I don't think.
Maybe no.
No.
I can't think of anything.
Yeah, me neither.
Especially consistently.
Consistently, I know. Yeah, that's true. And consistently and over an extended period of time. We're talking a couple of years.
I'm thinking I've probably eaten 174 types of like a candy.
Yeah.
In my life.
Yeah.
Or a snack. But
well, I was going in that direction too, but it's not something you do week to week on a consistent basis.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, listen, every season's temporary, as we have said. You may not believe it, but it is true.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been through our fair share of seasons, some light, full of laughter. Others have been really heavy, really hard to explain, hard to go through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one thing we've learned sometimes the hard way is this: every season is temporary. The good ones, the rough ones, the ones that feel never ending, they all shift eventually.
They do.
Seasons. They turn.
It's a perspective that we really hold on to, especially when life feels like, you know, it's pulling us in too many directions, or we feel stuck in a season that we didn't really ask for. Who does, right? I mean, if it's a hard season, most of us didn't ask for it.
That's right, yeah.
But knowing that it's not going to last forever helps us stay present, even if the present isn't exactly easy. And with all that said, when things are really good, you should live it as though it's not permanent, because
that's right.
Life is fleeting and you want to enjoy every single moment that you have.
Sometimes those seasons can go on longer than you want, but you gotta know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and there'll be a better season ahead.
Okay, so listen, Jerry and I love a good cruise, but you know what we really love? A cruise with no kids on board.
That's right. We're talking about Virgin Voyages, where the only thing screaming is, well, espresso martinis at 2 a.m.
It's just a totally different vibe. Virgin Voyages doesn't cruise, they voyage. Think elevated experiences, stunning ships, incredible food, no water slides filled with goldfish crackers.
And the sea terrace? Don't even get us started. Hammocks on the balcony? Mood lighting? We're not saying we moved in, but...
We almost did. And guess what? We've got the hookup. Head to arneradventures.com/virgin-voyages to grab our access key so you can save on your next voyage and get some sailor loot. That's onboard credit to spend on drinks, spa, tattoos, or whatever floats your yacht.
And while you're there, grab our free Virgin Voyages bar guide. Yes, free. It'll tell you exactly which bars are worth visiting, what to order, and where to find them on the ship. You'll be an expert before you even embark.
You want to sail like a pro? We've got you. Again, that's arneradventures.com/virgin-voyages. Go now. Thank us later.
Just don't blame us when you come back wondering why every other cruise doesn't feel like Virgin Voyages.
That's right.
Once I got stuck in a winter season well into June, and I was still wearing my my winter coat, and
I think that's on you.
it was. Yeah.
Well, what we're going to do is go through, how that we embrace that mentality that every season is temporary. And as we always say, these things are things that we are working through. We are currently finding that these things are helpful, which is why we talk about them, hoping that they will be really helpful for you.
Yeah. It's not always about optimism. It's about truth. We've walked through grief, burnout, transition, and the weird in-between stages where nothing feels certain and life seems to only be presenting challenges and there's just no relief to be seen. But we've clung to the reminder that it isn't forever during those times, and I think we're getting better and better with that. You know that if you're patient and you don't self-destruct, that the fog will lift.
Yeah.
The page will turn. For everything a season. Turn, turn, turn. You pages, the energy shifts.
And when we're in a season of joy, we lean into it harder. So we savor it. Every tiny bit of a silver lining is something that we want to experience. We name the good things, like through our gratitude practice, like we have the jar where we write the things in it. Because that situation, that season isn't forever, but we don't want to sleepwalk through it either. We want to go, hey, and we've said this a lot lately, things are going pretty good, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's like a little nerve-wracking in a way. But we do want to acknowledge that this is a season that has been pretty good.
That's right. Yeah. So let's get into how to embrace that every season is temporary, because that might be what you're asking right now. How is it that they're all temporary? Well, just like all things, mindset takes practice. Sometimes it's an ongoing practice, like meditation. There's meditation and prayer. They don't call it a practice because you do it once and it all is fixed. It's a practice because you're never gonna actually have the final result. It's just something you cling on to and hope that it's gonna give you good results. It's something you can continue to do. We're sharing how we learn to embrace the temporariness of each season.
I like that word, temporariness.
I did too.
I kind of made it up.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay.
Is it real?
It might be.
Okay. Well,
is it hyphenated or is it one word?
Yeah. So in our the background of what you guys don't see is we have some notes here.
Yeah.
And so I did hyphenate it.
Yeah,
but
you did.
I don't know. Maybe it's not.
We'll have to look that up.
We'll have to look it up. We need our fact checker. We keep saying we need a fact checker.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So the first thing that we do, and you've probably heard us say this over and over and over again, is that we don't overcommit. We say no more often now, especially to things that we know we just don't feel good about, because we've learned that seasons of rest don't last if you fill every moment with obligations. The older I get, the more I detest obligations anyway.
Yeah.
But I really have to stop and think a lot about whether I want to say yes to something. Sometimes all we need is a quiet place to reset. So whether it's your backyard, you have a park near you, time outside, it can help shift your perspective even just a little bit.
Yeah. Sometimes now I just text NO to a friend before there's any subject and content coming up. Yep. They get it though. Something comes up a week down the road, they remember that.
It's a great preventative measure to have in place. And then you really lose them as a contact altogether.
Yeah. So it works out, or does it? Well, that depends. Next thing is we give each other more grace. And grace is important anywhere in life. I mean, we all need a little bit more, especially these days. Some seasons are harder on one of us than the other. So we've learned to offer space instead of pressure, and support instead of solutions.
Yeah, I really like that one.
Yeah, I do
And
too.
it's interesting. We were guests
Uh-huh.
on someone's podcast recording this week.
Hmm.
And Jerry, you made a good point when it came to that. You were saying how our lifestyle, like our minimalist lifestyle and
Yeah.
not having clutter around, nowadays makes room to recognize that the other person might be in a season of needing more support. And we might not have recognized that before with our previous lifestyle.
Well, yeah, we did cover that. There's less distractions around you, less things you're just tied down to that you got to take care of, that you do kind of recognize other things around you, the people you live with, you know?
Yeah. Well, the next thing is we let go of this is how it should be. That phrase can get tossed around really easily. You know, well, this is how it's always done, or this is how we've always done it. This is how it should be. Or, you know, it's a lot of things I'm thinking about now is like the holiday season. You know, people have this expectation of, but this is how it should be. Like it should be that we're all sitting around cozy and cheery and having cocoa and laughing. And that's not how it is.
Right.
So whatever the season is might not match your vision board. And that's okay. It still has something to offer you. And I'm sitting here saying this as someone who has, and we both have, but I'll just speak for myself. But as someone who has really gotten out of a dark season, I think the thing that I have to tell myself, even looking back, is, you know, this is not to say that the pain or the darkness goes away. Like you're still going to have the pain. You're still going to have the grief. You're still going to have all those things. But I think most of you who are listening understand what we mean when we say like a season. It's like a period of time where you think, it just doesn't seem like things are ever going to go right again. And you have to remember, it is just a period of time. It's a season. And yes, seasons are temporary. And so please understand that I'm not saying, and neither one of us are saying that, you know, the darkness is going to go away forever and you're never going to be in pain. I mean, you know, it's sort of like if you break your arm, the pain's not going to last forever. But I'll tell you what, the memory of you doing it and the pain that comes from that thought definitely will be there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it's not something that's going to go away forever. And we're not naive in saying that.
We're not. Any season can be endured. Just remember to bring the right clothing.
That's true. Oh, I like that.
Like that.
Yeah.
Pulled that one right off the hip.
I like it.
Yeah. Let's move along and talk about a practice that grounds us. One thing that's helped us hold this mindset is looking at our days in smaller pieces. Instead of labeling a week or month as bad, we zoom in. We break it down.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? What small joy showed up today? And sometimes that's a kind of a good reason to maybe a lot of people do gratitude journaling at night. Because, you know, then you might reflect on something that was like, wow, that one thing that was really cool did happen. It makes the day pretty good. You know, what did we learn this morning that we didn't know yesterday, for instance?
I'll tell you. I'll tell you what we learned this morning that we didn't know yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
That going to the DMV last minute
Without
without an appointment
can soak up your whole morning.
can soak up half of your day.
Half your work.
Where it's not
your
morning
work
anymore
day.
when you leave.
No.
Okay. That's all I was going to say.
Yeah. Anyway, out there, especially if you live in North Carolina, make sure you make a DMV appointment about 6 months out. Otherwise, you're not getting an appointment. And if your birthday's coming up, they don't care. They don't care.
Yeah, and you know, these check-ins make hard seasons less permanent and good seasons more meaningful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like Jerry said, you know, a gratitude list is really great. It doesn't have to be actually writing it down. Sometimes it's just acknowledging it in your head. You know, you can, at night before you go to bed, whether you pray, whether you reflect on the day, it can be say, you know what, what felt really good today? Even if it's been really, really shitty, what felt good today?
Yeah, and part of having a growth mindset is, even if it was shitty, just accept it and how do you move on from it and be stronger.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
I think the biggest thing to also know, the next point is that seasons don't need to be productive to matter. So we've had to learn this slowly. Every season doesn't need to come with a breakthrough. It doesn't need to come with a checklist that you walk out of saying how you're going to do things differently. Some seasons are just for holding on, just for healing, just surviving, right? Some are resting, some are for convalescing. I learned that from Jerry a few years ago. So that you'll be ready when the next chapter begins, when the next season begins.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, and as always, just bring the right apparel.
Right.
Uh-huh.
We've had quiet seasons where it felt like nothing was quote unquote happening. But in hindsight, it was like those were the exact periods that we needed to reset, breathe, reconnect. And you know what? When you have people maybe making comments about, well, you guys don't ever do anything.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm fucking surviving here, okay? I can be in my house, and that's okay if I don't want to go to the local bar and hang out. I need this season to just chill out. So don't care so much about what other people think about your season either. You don't need to earn your way out of a hard season or perform your way through a good one. No. Just be in it.
Just be in it. Moving along, a gentle reminder for you too. Whatever season you're in now, no, it's not your whole story. You shouldn't let a season of your life define who you are. You're more than that.
Right.
If it's a hard one, it'll shift. If it's a beautiful one, soak it in with everything you got and hold on to it. Because, you know.
Absorb the shit out of that thing.
Yeah, yeah. And really, you learn how to appreciate the days more because, things are probably around the corner. That's just how life is. So really learn how to appreciate the days of the good season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you're navigating a season that feels heavy, it's okay to reach out for support beyond your circle.
Like therapy. We have this in the show notes, but there's organizations like NAMI, the National Association of Mental Illness. It has resources and communities that are totally without judgment.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's if you look, I think you can usually find something out there, whether it's locally or online, anywhere out there. If you're looking for practical emotional health tools for navigating tough seasons, Mental Health America has free check-ins, worksheets, and gentle reminders that can help.
Yeah, and we have that in the show notes as well.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's another good source. Yeah, so we're all just moving through the seasons, y'all.
Yeah, and there's freedom in knowing that they don't last.
Yeah, with the proper apparel.
That's true. That's true. Uh-huh. Before we wrap up, I do want to kind of go over a few questions that people ask when it comes to like seasons and when you start thinking about going through seasons. And these are found in like different resources that I read. Sometimes it's in like group therapy sessions. But a question that some people ask is, how do I know what season I'm in? Because let's not kid ourselves. There are some people who, for the lack of a better word, have sort of maybe a flat way of life, a flat way of looking at things, meaning there's not these huge highs, there's not these low lows. Mm-hmm. So they may not know right away, and that's okay. Sometimes a season is obvious, hardship, grief, burnout, whatever the big change is, and sometimes it's subtle. So a good clue is to just pay attention to your energy, your emotions. Are you exhausted? If you're exhausted and you're feeling bad, that might be a season that you need to look at and go, maybe I'm in a darker season. I need to rest. Or, is that what it's being called of you? Or, to reflect or rebuild or, whatever it is, the season will reveal itself within time for sure.
Yeah.
I hope that if you're in a good season, that you know it, but it's like I always say, being content is underrated. Sometimes I just want things to be flat. I don't want any highs or lows. I just want things to just float along.
Yeah, sure.
And to me, that's a good season.
Yeah. And I think everybody has a different idea, but it is definitely I like that season too. Just contentment, little satisfaction,
Yeah.
So another good question to ask oneself is, what if I feel stuck in a hard season that isn't changing? Yeah, that is a good question. It can feel like nothing is shifting day to day, week to week, but often maybe it just takes time to slow down and look around, and you'll see some small things are happening. And when you see them, use them as building blocks and build on them. Sometimes it's a bit of a way to claw yourself out, pull yourself out. But if you start seeing those little foundations, build on them, and eventually you'll get your head above the ground, and you'll know what you're doing.
That's a really great way.
Yeah, I got a whole
of
visual
describing that.
analogy in my head.
That's a really great way of
building
describing
little
that.
things. He's in a hole, and all of a sudden his head's above the top of the hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last question is, do you plan differently depending on the season you're in? Well, most definitely. If you know what season you're in, if it's a busy or a joyful season, and, Jerry and I are definitely like more flexible with our scheduling. Now, when I say we say yes to more, I'm not saying we say yes to things we don't want to do. We don't.
Yeah.
We say yes to more. So if I know that we're going to have, I don't know, a certain amount of visitors in a certain season or whatever, I may go ahead and say yes to those. I may say yes to more conversations with people. I may say yes to different work obligations. In harder seasons, we definitely scale back. We cut out the non-essentials, protect our rest, our boundaries, and just lower expectations. It's not about quitting everything. No. It's just about adjusting with intention.
Yeah, working on the fundamentals until you're ready to get out there again.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we hope that this has been a helpful conversation with you, the seasons, and just understanding that it's really good to remember and live like every season is temporary. Why, Jer?
Because it is. If this episode resonated with you, or if you know of someone who would benefit from what we talked about, please share it with a friend.
It's a great way of supporting the podcast, and we really appreciate it.
Another way of supporting the pod is by leaving us a 5-star review or rating on the platform you are listening to us on.
And go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That also supports us. You can always find us, the show notes, and sponsors who support the podcast at arneradventures.com.
And until next time, enjoy the journey you're on. We're wishing you lots of adventures.
Bye-bye.